Hi everyone, I'm Dr. Ling Ying Leh from Polytechnic Kuching Sarawak. Today I'm going to present my presentation with the topic Improving the Teacher's Self-Efficacy through the Mastery of Instructional Skill in Micro-Teaching. Teaching is more than just passing on the knowledge from one person to the next. Instead, it is a multifaceted process that facilitates and influences learning. The effectiveness of teaching is measured by how much the students are able to understand from the teaching process. So, teaching andragogy or pedagogy can only be acquired through more structured and less expensive training techniques such as micro-teaching. The young lecturers who work for the Ministry of Higher Education Malaysia under the Departments of Polytechnics and Community Colleges (DPECC) are not exempt from the requirement of teaching competencies in TVET's educational institutions. To ensure that the teaching staff appointed by the Polytechnics and Community College have teaching as competencies, the government has required every new lecturer to take the Instructional Leadership and Andragogy Teaching course IELTS or Kursus Instructional dan Pembangunan Andragogy KIPA. A total of 16 modules aimed at improving the teaching skill will revolve throughout the course. At the end of the IELTS, each participant participated in micro-teaching to ensure that they could apply their knowledge and skills in the teaching process effectively. From the year of 2017 to 2019, 345 lecturers were trained in TVET's institutions across the country. Micro-teaching is important in teachers' preparation because its ability to emphasize the relationship between the theory and practice. Billon 2014 said one of the most important links in the micro-teaching process is the reteaching process, which will also be developed through the thinking style and potentially provided to the candidate at the beginning and the end of the teaching experiment, as well as the feedback provided. In a roundabout way, this method encourages the teachers to perform better work. Antonia 2014 defined micro-teaching as a process for learning and assimilation for teaching new teaching skills under the controlled conditions. Good teacher can make a significant difference in the learning progress of the students. As a result, every teacher should be knowledgeable about the student's development. Sattler, Sonnet, Coyer, Kutzmith, and Yingler 2013 say good teachers should have a thorough understanding of the duties as well as instructional strategies that promote the students' conceptual understanding. They should also be able to deal with the challenges of classroom instructions on occasion. For the problem statement, first of all, research by He and Yang in 2011 with 60 students indicated that micro-teaching has a remarkable effect on the professional development of the students. Kuchukoglu, Kose, Taskin, Yilmaz, and Karademer 2012 carried out the research to determine the effect of micro-teaching on teaching skill. Since 2017, the IELTS has been implementing micro-teaching for the PECC novice lecturer. However, no research has been conducted on how the effectiveness of micro-teaching interacts with novices' teaching efficacy. As a result, there is a need in this study to identify the influence of the implementation of micro-teaching towards the self-efficacy of teaching generated on the novices. For the research objective, first of all, the general objective is listed to identify how the instructional techniques used in micro-teaching affect the teacher's self-efficacy. For the specific objective, this study aimed to determine whether micro-teaching instructional techniques have a significant impact on the lecturer's self-efficacy in classroom management, instructional strategies, and students' engagement in the respective institution. The research design refers to the steps involved in collecting, analyzing, interpreting, and reporting the data in the research study. The researcher for this study decided to collect the responses from the identified respondents using the quantitative cross-sectional design approach. This is a straightforward design in which the researcher decides what to look for, select a sample, and contact the participants to collect the necessary data for the study. Next, for the research instrument. A set of 3-part questionnaires was used as the research instrument in this study. Part A includes a gender profile, age group, highest level academic qualification, IELTS cohort, and respondents' plans of service. Part B adapts Bastow 2016 questionnaire with 32 items to assess the micro-teaching efficacy. For Part C, the researchers adapted the short form of Texana Moran and Hoy's teacher sense of efficacy scale with 8 item 2001. The 7-point Likert scale is used to conduct the questionnaire in this research. Craig 2010 found that the 7-point item is more excel not only in objective accuracy but also perceived accuracy and ease of use. The pilot study is essential as it is a way to identify the potential problems or any deficiencies in the implementation of the research study. In this study, the pilot study will be conducted before the actual study is conducted. The researcher will use the at least 30 respondents to answer the questionnaire in the pilot study. So for this study, a total of 32 novices took part in, and the participants were given a period of 2 weeks from November until December 2020 to complete an online questionnaire before a reliability analysis was performed. Analysis on reliability has found that the Chromebus Alpha's values as high as 0.985 on 41 items has been obtained. As a result, there is no modification or adjustment made to the research procedures and the questionnaires. For the next one is about the research sampling. Okay. The findings from the table 1 has shown the profile of the respondents who have participated in the study. The analysis showed that a total of 198 respondents has attended any of the 8 IELTS cohorts organized. The majority of the respondents of this study have academic qualification in bachelor degree, which is 134 people, or 67.7%. Accordingly, more than half of the respondents, 58.6% representing 116 respondents, were in the age category of 31 to 35 years, and followed by 57 respondents representing 28.8% in the age category of 30 years and below. Purposeful sampling is used to collect the responses from the respondents because it is known as a representative of the total population that will produce well-matched groups. No underlying theories are required for this strategy. Instead, participants who are willing to provide information with their experience are required according to the Bernard 2002. Okay. Multiple regression analysis was performed on instructional skills in IELTS with all the 3 dimensions of teaching self-efficacy, namely effectiveness in classroom management, student engagement, and instructional strategies using the ENTER method. On December 10, 2020, the researchers applied to the DPECC's Competencies and Career Enhancement Division. Following the receipt of the permission, a letter dated 29 December 2020 was distributed to all the directors of Malaysian polytechnics and community colleges along with a list of IELTS participants from their respective institutions who had attended the course. A total of 345 participants from 79 TVET educational institutions across the country were contacted through the provided link to complete the questionnaire. A 2-week deadline was set to ensure that the questionnaire was completed. Next, research findings and discussions. For the Table 2 shows the results of the multiple regression analysis using the Enter method on instructional skills in IELTS with all the three-dimension study in this research. The results of multiple regression analysis show that all the IELTS instructional skills significantly encountered for 57.7% of the variance of change for the self-efficacy dimensions in classroom management. The result of the examination of the beta coefficient value shows that group learning had a significant influence on the classroom management effectiveness. Furthermore, multiple regression analysis also found that IELTS instructional skills significantly contributed 65.25% of the variance of change for the self-efficacy dimensions in students' engagement. The results of the examination of the beta coefficient value showed that the dimensions of motivating and encouraging the students' involvement in the class, as well as implementing the correct and good induction set, has a significant influence on the effectiveness of the students' involvement. Multiple regression analysis also showed that IELTS instructional skill encounter for 70.7% of the variance of change for the effectiveness dimensions in instructional strategies. The result of the examinations of the beta coefficients value showed that both dimensions of instructional skill, namely effective communication and group learning, had a significant influence on effectiveness in instructional strategy. So, from the findings, the hypothesis that there is no significant impact between the instructional techniques in micro-teaching delivered on teaching self-efficacy is rejected. This is because the instructional techniques in micro-teaching, namely group learning, motivating and encouraging students' involvement in the classroom, induction set, and effective communication, have a significant and positive influence on all the three self-efficacy in teaching. The result is consistent with the findings of CLIC's 2010 study, in which the teachers can perform appropriate transitions to the lesson, grabbing attention and motivating the students and sharing constant interest in the lesson and motivation, and effectively leading the learner activities through the practice in micro-teaching. These findings is clearly explained by Hygiene and Nicole 2003, where by observing the presence of the friends, the novices can find the chance to observe and evaluate the different teaching strategies. For the research implication, under the IELTS implementation procedure, however, micro-teaching has not been streamlined in the current training. According to Harden and Crosby 2000, effective training is also required for instructional skills development programs among the young DPECC lecturers to get meaningful teaching experience and aid in the development of knowledge, skills, and attitudes. Last but not least, time remains an important barrier in teaching education program for micro-teaching. Not all the trainees can therefore replan and retrain. Remember, training is ineffective unless the lecturer develops the effective teaching abilities of the students. Thank you very much.